What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total. And the offer ends very soon at the end of March. So, why is the market selling off so hard right now? What's going on that's very important? Well, there's some news that came out that's quite serious. There's a new virus that's been discovered. It has pandemic potential, according to what researchers are telling us. And it's been discovered in China. So this is very, very important. The thing about this is that despite the fact that this virus has been discovered, there's no news so far that says it's been spreading amongst people so far. It has the potential to do that, but it hasn't done that yet. And I hope that it doesn't end up happening, right? Just because the virus is discovered, obviously it's not great news. It's obviously causing a lot of fear for the markets and this big sell-off, but that's not really enough to cause a massive, massive sell-off like what we saw in like 2020, unless we do end up seeing this spread like crazy. If this starts affecting more people, then that could cause a lot more fear. But so far, I'm looking at reports and there's no sign so far that that's happening. I found that researchers claim that this is able to infect human cells, but like I said before, it hasn't really spread. So this could be part of the excuse that they're using to dump the markets. So they use these excuses, these pieces of news, just to get the market to do what they want to do to benefit these market makers. Max Payne's at 602, so it looks like they tried to hurt both sides. Instead of just hurting the shorts, instead of going after shorts like they typically do, they went over both the shorts and the longs. And the way to do that was to bring the market down to a particular level. Almost all the puts are still out of the money, so the majority of puts are still once again going to go to zero, and the majority of calls will also go to zero. So the market makers will still win despite this sell off. So the question is, what's going to happen from this point on? And this is where things become very serious. Looking at SPY on the 4-hour time frame, we're testing 599, and then simultaneously we're seeing Tesla, dipping at the same time. With Tesla, I want to call out that we're at the 336 area. This is actually very close to our golden pocket from a fib retracement scale. So we're at the golden pocket, which is typically where we tend to see reversals. And then the daily charts, when you look at it, it's looking a little bit weaker. We have to see if Tesla could establish a higher low here or not for there to be some kind of bounce, right? That's what you really want to see. That's one of the reasons why Tesla's selling off. Also, there's a lot of news about the recall I was talking about in the morning, about how Teslas have a particular steering problem, but they managed to solve the problem with the software update. So that really offsetted that. So with that being said, what I think is happening is we do have the potential to dip a bit more on Tesla. We could be retesting this support here. Our support's around that 335 area. And if that fails us, I could see us get down close to these lows, but then we'll be watching to see if buyers defend us and try to get us back above the 350 area next week or not, especially as we have Nvidia's earnings. I'll be watching that. We should try to base between 330 flat and 325. There's a very, very strong support in that range. So if we do dip a bit more, I'd be watching to see a technical bounce as the most likely possibility, unless the news about this virus becomes very serious and it does spread. Then I'm going to become a lot more concerned. So if you're holding anything over the weekend, be careful. We'll see what happens with this news. Hopefully, this is not like spread or anything like this. It just seems like it's been discovered so far. I believe that so far it hasn't spread. So if it doesn't spread and this is all we get, the market should try to bounce soon. I think the market will try to recover it within a day or two. And if this does spread and it becomes much bigger, just like what we saw in 2019 to 2020, then that's going to become very serious. The market could dump more. So just keep that in mind. My hope is that it's not going to spread too much. This news is just noise right now. It's not going to be way too serious, and the market will try to make a recovery move. That's what I'm hoping for so far, is the most likely possibility, as long as the virus doesn't spread. And then this could also help Tesla rebound soon. So could we dip a little bit more? It's possible we get close to 330. Then we could try to bounce back up to where this imbalance is around 343. It's very possible Tesla does that, and a bounce should be coming as long as the news does not become more serious. On SPY, we have the support around 599, our 200 EMA. We have to try to hold this, or not. If not, we're going to be dumping to about 595. If we end up holding it, then yes, there could be a nice rebound attempt. And if we do rebound, we want to get back above this trend line of resistance. This is previous resistance. it's going to become resistance again. If we get back above this, then I think this could try to bounce more. If not, we could be dumping more. So if the news becomes big and very, very serious, we're going to be expecting SPY to dump all the way down to about the 590s, 595 or so or below if it's very, very serious. If it's not too serious, and this is just a virus that was discovered, but it's not spreading or anything like that, and if the market manages to just bounce despite the news, if we see like fear, if we see fear just like subside over time, then yes, I could be looking for a bounce on this. And I think there's a very good chance that could be happening. So if that's the case, there's a good chance that as long as the news does not get too serious, if we could hold 599 here going to next week, I will be expecting a technical test of about this imbalance over here at 607. So I anticipate we're going to bounce to 607, so most likely move as long as the news does not get bigger, as long as we don't see anything new about this virus, as long as it's not like spreading. Same thing with the QQQ. As long as there's no major bad news, if we get very, very bad news and the virus continues to spread, I will be expecting us to dump to like 520 or below. If not, if the virus is just contained, they just discovered it and there's nothing else that comes out, then I think we will be trying to bounce back up to about 530 on the QQQ. So keep that in mind. For Russell 2000, we'll also try to recover to about 220. It's only down just a bit compared to these lows right here. We have to see if we could try to hold above 215. If we get more bad news and the virus spreads, we're looking for 215 as our target. If not, we want to see this bounce back up to about 221. For others out there, we also have NQ. NQ is basically testing this previous resistance becoming support. It's very close to this trend line. We need to try to reclaim 21,770 for us to really start bouncing back up towards the 21,900s. Otherwise, we will continue to fall. I'm hoping it tries to get back above almost 22,000. I think there's a good chance it tries to bounce if there's no more very, very bad news about this, if the news is already out. Bitcoin could be dipping a bit more. It's about 94,000 before it tries to bounce. Now, Nvda is at support around this 50 EMA. We also have support around 130. So 130 and then 134 are going to be supports to watch for. And then even if it does dip, we need to see us try to bounce again because, like I said before, this could be forming a cup and handle or even like an inverse head and shoulders, however you want to interpret this. I would love to see Nvidia bounce like around here, around the low 130s before it tries to start approaching its earnings. There's a good chance it has a nice setup, so we'll see if that helps produce some kind of bounce very soon. And lastly, for Aapl, we're going to be looking for this resistance around 250. We might dip closer to like 243 before it tries to bounce. Overall, it's still very resilient. Let me just go over a few more coins looking very bearish, right? A lot of bad news came out, especially with some news. With lots of bad news, we could be looking for 230 as a potential target. Amazon's quite bearish. We're looking for this 215 area. This is a very strong support, this 215 zone. So we're at some major support on Amazon. We'll have to see if we bounce or not. Meta needs to get back above 700. Otherwise, we are favoring an imbalance fill towards the 675 area. Microsoft is dumping. We're going to be looking for an attempt to retest 405. And then Google is also a little bit weaker. We're looking for essentially 180, and we'll see if we bounce or not. With that being said, guys, the VIX is taking off so far, but let me say one thing about the VIX. Typically, it does not take off for long. If you look at the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, it takes off, then dumps after like a couple of weeks. There's also other instances where it just took off in one day, then dumped, took off in one day, and then dumped. It's done this many, many times. So we'll see. It all depends on this news. I think that the VIX is going to reject here, most likely, at least from a technical basis, because the market's about to bounce. But whether or not that happens is going to depend on this news. Will this virus continue to cause more fear amongst the markets? Is that going to be a big catalyst? And then we'll see if Nvidia's earnings helps us bounce. For now, although the charts are a little bit weak right now, I'm hoping that we do get a bounce next week, as long as the news does not become very, very big, very, very serious, and this new virus does not lead to anything that's, not like what we saw from, or something like what we saw from like 2020. I really hope that's not the case. And then if it is what it is, guys. We just have to be very, very open no matter what. But there's a good chance the market bounces. I think there's a good chance Tesla tries to get back to the 340s. So long as the news does not become way too serious. I hope that's as clear as possible. Thank you all so much for listening. We're going to be very patient on this. If you're holding anything over the weekend, be careful, and let's just hope for the best. Thank you for listening, and peace out.